Hello everyone and welcome to NerdGoblinart. I'm Lula. Right then, today is the Summer Fantasy collaboration which is being run by Tracy at Mini Scenes GB. So I wanted to take part because I love stuff that is fantasy, you know, I love fairies and dragons and all that stuff. So I got a really cool mould in and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So there's only one thing we can do. Let's go play. Right, we are down looking at my desk. So this beautiful mould, I won. It's Art by Donna ran a competition to celebrate her 30,000 subscribers. Congratulations, by the way, Donna, but I won. I never win anything, so I was very excited. So Doodle Dash Creative is the supplier and Iron Orchard Designs. Now, I have never had a mould like this before, excuse the noise, but I've literally not taken this out yet because I wanted to show you guys and I wanted to share it. Oh, look at that, blooming heck, that's a weight. That is really cool and it feels so cool. That is really gorgeous. I don't think I've ever had a mould like that before. But anyway, so I love fantasy and these are super cool. I love these unicorns. I did have the option of choosing between a lion and the unicorn, but to be perfectly honest with you, when I saved up a little bit, I think I'm going to get the lion one anyway because it is so gorgeous. And look at these flowers. But it is about the unicorn. Well, we'll probably use these as well. So I really want to have a go at obviously using some epoxy resin in these first. And I think I'm going to burnish on some colours. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to trying these out. So I'm going to burnish in some colours and then we'll see what happens. I have no plan. I wing it quite often. It's my thing. I do like to wing a lot of things. Some things I plan out but don't quite know where it's going to go and I just go with it. So I think that's what we're going to do with this. We'll see how they come out. And you know what, I would love, I did say this to Donna, and I think I mentioned to Claire as well, that at Claire's Crafty Corner, I really want to make some inlays out of them. So we're going to, I'm not today, I'm not going to do the inlay thing today, but I will be doing it very soon. So let's get these burnished in. I'm going to pick out some colours. I'm going to do both of them, and we'll probably do the whole thing, let's be honest. And then I'll see what I've got on my shelves, whether we put them on a box or a jewelry boxy type thing or anything like that. We can see, we can have a look, can't we? But I'm just excited to play. Right then, apologies for waffling, I'm quite excited. So I'm going to be going on to my voiceover because I like to wear masks when I'm vernishing in, not only when I'm using the epoxy resin, just because you can see it all floating around and I don't want it in my lungs. Right then, I'll be back in a mo. Here I am again, and I've got these lovely chrome powders. Just recently, they were on offer on Amazon and they're Let's Resin, and these colours are beautiful. So I'm gonna go for the holographic silver and I think it's called holographic pink. Now, when I first pulled these colours out, I was thinking just for the main, I'd mix the two colours together for the main. But it's just a bit of, what do you do? And it's just a few moments of considering. So obviously I want the green for the stems of the roses, and I'm really excited by this red. Now, I've seen Wendy at Toonpish Crafts using that red, and it looks like a really good red, which is unusual. So I'm looking forward to it. It was just, again, like I say, debating on what to do with the bodies of the horses. So I'm going to go with doing it with the holographic silver. And just remembered as well that I want a gold. I want to use the gold for the unicorn's horn and hooves. Not forgetting that this mold is matte, so it's not going to look as spectacular when it first comes out. Look how new these are. They've all still got their safe tabs on them. I'm going to start with the I do start using the silver first, but then I realise that it's probably best to do the main first, because whatever colour touches your mould, that's the colour that's going to come out with the resin. This is, I start brushing, burnishing even. Burnishing? I start burnishing in, then I realise that it might make a bit of a mess when I'm trying to make sure there's not too much of it in the horse's mane and tail. So I'm just gonna get back onto the body in a moment and do the hair first. Is it the right? I'm not quite sure, but there you are. These are incredibly detailed, and as I said, they are matte, but we can sort that out afterwards. Something else to note with these molds as well, you get the measurements in both milliliters and grams. That's really cool. I've only really had that with Let's Resin molds, and it is so handy. And I wish that a lot more of these resin companies, especially when you pay a lot of money for the molds, I wish they would start popping it either on the molds or at least in the description when you are going to buy. It doesn't have to be, because it's never going to be fully precise because we all use different measuring cups and such, but they could at least put an approximate. That would be so helpful, especially for saving on. Sometimes I don't mind, I quite enjoy doing extras, but sometimes you just want to do what you're doing and not have to think about other things, don't you? So I really like that about these molds. So just used a wipe just for getting any of the excess pink that I managed to get onto the horse's body. And this is going on beautifully. It really is gorgeous. I'm looking forward to trying out these powders on some shiny molds as well. I've only just got them. I spotted them on offer on Amazon. I don't know if they're on offer anywhere else, if they're on offer in the States, but I love a bargain, and I went straight for it. And I've had my eyes on these ones for a little while with getting them. Just making sure to go up into the ears of the horse as well. And I'm not too worried about the eyes of, because we're going to be doing both of the horses, because I can see to that later. I can just use one of my acrylic pens. Making sure that the brushes are kind of cleanish in between too. And this is the gold. It's from the same Let's Resin set. And as I said, I'm using it for the unicorn's horn and hooves. I think it is quite, I think it's quite traditional, these colours I've gone for this unicorn. Quite antique-y. It's going to give a really antique-y look. These moulds, they just remind me of like antique, like an old fair you'd go to and you'd see embellishments on stuff. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So I'm really, really happy with this unicorn. And I'm gonna move on now to the roses. And this is the green. I think it's holographic green. I might be wrong, but it's definitely got green in the title. It's really, really pretty. And I'm just going into the stems. Now, these roses are really detailed. So I'm a bit wary about bubbles because they're gonna like to cling on to certain parts. And when I say wary, I just, you know, I want them to come out as good as possible. It's not a loss if you do have a few bubbles. It can be fixed. It can be sorted out afterwards. But I'm sure that if you poured in just clear colours and used silicone brush, it's probably a lot better doing it that way. But, you know, the colours are great. And this is that red, and my goodness, going on. I was actually going, ooh, as I was burnishing this in. And as I do realise that I have burnished some leaves. I hadn't spotted that beforehand, but that's fine because easily wiped away, and I can just replace that little bit with some of this red. Not with a red, that's what I'm using now, you donut. So I can clean away the pieces I don't want and replace it with the green. And that's absolutely fine, simply done. And if you do find that your wipe and your fingers are, you know, can't quite get in there, you can always use a micro brush or even a cotton bud with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. But I didn't need to do that. Didn't need to introduce that. So there we go, sorted out, and the right colour is put there. Isn't that looking absolutely gorgeous? Now this is just, it's like a makeup brush. It's one of those fluffy ones, and it just burnishing all over just to make sure that it's nicely there. And that is so pretty. That is so pretty. Right, I got on with the next ones. There was no need, I thought, to show you doing exactly the same thing all over again. But just showing you just as I'm coming to the end of doing the bottom ones. And have you noticed there's 4 of these roses, and they two of them, you know, the 2 match, and then there's one larger rose which is really, really pretty, and that's going to be interesting when it comes to finishing it off. So I'm just brushing off the bottom half just like the top half, just to make sure it's all nicely in there. And there we are. I'm going to put on some gloves. Magic. Diddly-doo. Need the magic, don't we? So this is the black mica powder that I really like using in a lot of my projects. It is from Amazon. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but when I first started using resin, I did try out a bunch of different sorts, and this one I just really, really like, and I continue to use it during my journey. So that's going to mix in, and we're going to go up to ludicrous speed just to make sure that it's all nicely mixed. And into the debubbler it goes. Always make sure that that little stopper is popped in. And this is from Resiners, and I do have 15% off. You can use NERDGOBLIN. Don't worry though, it is all listed down below in my description box. And it only had 5 minutes, and that is looking beautiful. I do find this bit a little bit... It's because I'm clumsy. And when they're very shallow, pretty intricate molds like this, I'm rubbish. But what could have benefited me was if I had just poured the resin into a paper cup, perhaps, so I could have, you know, squelched the edge over, just to give me that little bit more control. But pouring in using a thinner line as possible and going into the detailed bits is really useful. You can pre-spray them if you want with some isopropyl alcohol, but because I've burnished them in so lovely, I just didn't want the potential of the isopropyl alcohol ruining the powders and leaving like speckles and stuff. Like, I didn't want that, so best not to. And I'm using my heat gun as well. I didn't fill it all the way and then use the heat gun, and as I'm filling in all the other parts of the mould, you know, the bubbles will be coming up. You can even tap, you know, it's quite difficult to pick this mould up because it's you know, if it was just maybe just the one unicorn I was doing, it'd probably be a bit easier to juggle it about just a little bit. But tapping underneath your desk as well helps. I personally think it does. So I'm just being as careful as possible. My table is level, and any spills that that are caused by me, it's nothing to do with the mould at all. It's nice and level. And there I go again, making a little bit of a mess. But you know, like I said, it probably would have been easier had I put it into a paper cup, or perhaps just use the end of my silicone tool just to drizzle some of that resin. But there's no harm done. I could quickly and easily clean it up. I'm just aware of they're so intricate, these roses, of a lot of bubbles sitting in those little details. So as gently as possible, I'm using my silicone tool, trying not to be too, because you don't want to end up pulling any of the colour away at the same time. So it's just one of those things. So I just thought I'd show you filling in the top ones, and then we'll do a clever little edit, and as if by magic, they're basically done. Hooray! So the resin I'm using is Apex, and it's a 1-to-1, and I also have a discount code with those, so please check it out down below because it's so worth having these discounts because resin is so expensive. So use it up, please do. I don't mind at all. I am an affiliate also, so you could always get some pennies that way. Goes into my little pot. Right then, subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it, and you really do make my day with your comments and your shares and your likes. So thank you very much. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. It's the click of a button and it's absolutely free, and it just helps my channel be seen, and it just helps. So, you know, and there's a bell. You can hit a bell, you know, hit that bell and you will not miss any of my videos. So this is the same day and we're looking awesome. Now this, like I said, matte, it still looks really, really good, but I want them to be shiny. But they so look good. They look, like I said, it reminds, it's like an antique-y look. The moulds themselves are antique, like, look at those roses. That red from Let's Resin, it really is something. Makes me think of the rose, that shape, that one shape reminds me of the rose in Beauty and the Beast. Oh, lovely. It's given me an idea. It's given me an idea. And I'm looking forward to doing it when I get to it. And they're all coming out really nicely. Yeah, a few bubbles here and there, but that is no issue at all. We can sort that out if we really want to. Isn't that pretty? I mean, they're really, really pretty. So let's have a proper... Let's have a bit of more of a gander at these. The detail in this, the face and everything is gorgeous. But I'm going to be using a acrylic marker for the eyes, and I will be shining them up. I'm still debating on what the end result is going to be, but I'm leaving them until the next day, which is now. And this is the following morning, and I've coloured the eye, used a black acrylic pen and also a white one to give it a bit of a sparkle. There's a few ways you can make these shiny. You can do it like I'm doing it now with some UV resin and just a glove. A lot of people do use brushes as well to brush over the UV resin if they're happy with sacrificing a brush. I was considering getting one of those silicone brushes that you can get for like brushing on egg and stuff for baking, just to see if it works okay with the UV, but that's not today because I still haven't got one. But this works very fine, and because you can feel it, you can easily see where it's all going, and this then can go under the lamp. So pretty. It's so pretty. I know, but I'm going to be doing this with both the unicorns and all of the roses, but I'm only showing you the one unicorn and the one rose just to show you so you know how. And with this one, I'm putting the UV resin onto my finger. It's just a little bit more control is all, because that is so intricate, the rose, that I didn't want to lose all of the UV resin down into the detail. So using my finger, this seemed like the better idea. The other thing you can do for shining these things up, you can spray varnish them with the gloss varnish, or you can just paint varnish them. It's completely up to you which you do, what you prefer. I'm happy doing it this way. So I've pulled out a tray mould. I ummed and ahed for a little while. I placed it on here. I've got these colours out that I want to use. These are brand new. They arrived yesterday. This is Atlantis. It is a luster pigment from Just Resin. And this one is Pearl White, and another one of the luster. So luster, there's a bit of a shimmer to it, and I want to use those for the background. Mr. Goblin helped me rearrange. I had the flowers and such in a different position, but he helped me really balance it out, which did help. And then I took a picture of it like this so that I could check it later, because I'm going to be doing the UV pour, and then we're going to be putting these pieces down into it. At this point, could be a tray or it could be a wall hanging, but we'll sort that out afterwards, depending on how good I am at timing things. Because you want it, if I want to sink them down slightly into the resin without them drowning, it's got to be at the right point. But if not, we'll see. So I've mixed up, I believe I did 18 fluid ounces of the Apex 1:1 epoxy. I used my big mixer on this occasion. It was just easier, but important to remember that that's a lot of resin to have sitting in one pot. So I've got it all split up, and I'm going to be pouring it all into the debubbler. But the debubbler, the Resiners debubbler really can take about 4 cups. I don't know if it's only meant to take 3. But if I can fit 4's going in, and I've not had an issue. So in goes the pearl white, and this, it is beautiful. I know it's white and I know it's pearl white, but it is gorgeous. So I've mixed into the 2 cups, and then this Atlantis blue luster. Oh my goodness. I think it's probably going to be one of my most favourite colours ever. It is absolutely gorgeous. So those have all been in the debubbler, and I saved the last little bit of the resin, just the clear, and I'm just pouring that into the middle. I'm not sure, kind of a crackle effect, but not really that worried. I want it to look like sky. I want it to look like a cloudy kind of day. I want the blue kind of mixed with the pearl white to really give like a burst and a big pop of colour against the unicorns and the roses. The putting on this first layer will help the flow also. And you saw I pre-sprayed it with some isopropyl alcohol. I have no plan and I'm quite happy just to have a really enjoyable play with how this goes down, because the resin will do what it does. It's gonna pull into the center eventually, so I don't mind the way how it was poured. And as you can see, I was just like, right, let's just do a bunch of circles now. We'll just puddle pour into the middle and then go all crazy with the swirly whirlies. Great fun, really is. And because it's been in the bubbler, it's looking really good. Can still spray it with isopropyl alcohol though, and if you are going to use a long neck lighter, just ensure that your isopropyl alcohol has had the chance to sink down, because you can cause flames and you don't want to lose your eyebrows. I'm erring on the side of caution, and I'm quite happily using my heat gun. Now this is a new heat gun. My other one finally decided it was, you know, over nearly a year of use, decided it didn't want to work so well anymore, but it kind of still does work, so I've kind of kept it. But I bought this one from Amazon. It is Resiners. They didn't send it to me, but I purchased it myself. It was on sale on Amazon, hooray! And I needed one, and it comes with a few attachments, so that's fun as well. Can you see how the colours like split? Like when you spray in the isopropyl alcohol, it does really cool, interesting, fun things to the resin as it goes. And as it's going around, you can see around the outside, it almost looks like cloud formations, which is really, really lovely. So that's kind of what I want. And as it pulls in and comes together, I really am looking forward to this. And I'm going to be working this way. It's not a case of turn it over, there's a reveal. I will be waiting for an opportunity to pop the roses and the unicorns into this. If I get it at the right point, it will be a tray. If I don't quite get it there, you know, if I don't quite time it right, it's going to be a wall hanging. I'll do my best though. The weather's cooled down. It has cooled down in the UK. That was probably our heat. That was probably our summer for the whole year. But yeah. So I'm just looking after it, any bubbles coming up, and you saw as well that I used my silicone tool to go all the way around the outside just to encourage anything coming up there. And it's just a case of keeping on an eye on it for a little while. So I didn't quite get there. You could pull it out of the mould at this point if you wanted to and form it into a bowl, but I left it a little bit too long. I was busy watching like court cases in this, you know, states like sovereign union, yeah, stuff like that anyway, and I got distracted. But it is good enough for these to be pressed in so that when I do a top coat of resin, which I'm going to do in a moment, they're not going to go anywhere or try and move around on me, which is ace. And just checking to make sure there's no bits left in there and just pushing them down, and as you can see, giving them a tug, they're stuck. So that's handy, isn't it? So I'm going to mix up some clear epoxy resin and add some glitter. That's looking good. Really pleased with that. It would have made such a lovely tray. I keep forgetting what a tray's called, the word for tray. I know it's terrible. But anyway, I mixed up some of the resin and it's just clear, and I've popped in some unicorn crushed crystal. Now, because it's a collaboration for fantasy, it's a summer fantasy, I thought, well, of course you've got to use the unicorn crushed crystal. So this is a collaboration, and it has been set up by Tracy at Mini Scenes GB. So thank you, Tracy, for hosting us. Down below there is a playlist for you to go at your leisure. I hope you enjoy checking out everybody's video. I'm really looking forward to it because it's always great to see what other artists come up with and do. I went for the unicorns because I knew I was getting this mold, and it came in time, which is awesome. And I do actually really love the idea. I love myth, legends, myth, and all that stuff, and fairy tales, and unicorns are really cool. And this is actually the first unicorn molds I've ever had, which is a big surprise. I really do think it is. And you know, the myth of the unicorns, that, you know, sometimes it was like they'd have like a hairy chin and stuff like that, which makes you think, well, did people just mistake them for a large goat with one horn? And is that where it actually came from? But you know, it's still cool. And we have a unicorn and a lion raising up, like these two unicorns are, as part of coats of arms in where I live in South Wales, which is really cool. If I can find a picture, I will pop it up in the corner. It's a heraldry, and that was hard for me to say, by the way. A piece of history that, you know, showed the unification of Great Britain. And you know, you see these images all over the place, but where I've specifically seen them in my area is at a place called Tredegar House, and it's really cool finding these old I would say fixtures and statues. So this has all been poured, and I'm happy with it, and now it's cured and I'm going to take it out. I am so pleased with how these colours worked out. That's the back, so you could see a slight crackle effect. I forgot my words and I had to stop the microphone. Well, the recording, the editing or whatnot. But isn't that Atlantis blue and pearl white gorgeous as a backing for these unicorns and for the roses? Just a little snippy here and there. I am going to be leaving this another day. I know, check me out, taking like 2 to 3 days on one project and actually being, you know, patient for a change. So I'm going to be leaving this until the following day, and I will use my deburring tool just to tidy up any of the edges and do one final little, you know, bit to it, because as I said, it's going to be a wall hanging because I didn't sink those in quick enough. and I'm happy with that. I also, out of the blues and the leftover blue and the pearl white, I've just recently got these sea turtle molds from Temu, and I wanted to try one out, and my goodness, again a matte mold, but it looks absolutely amazing. The colour is gorgeous, and I know this, they're not fantasy, but they're very magical in my opinion. They look magical. So, as I say, I am going to leave this now until the following day so I can make sure it's all clean and tidy. The following day, and I've got out a silver chrome marker. I've already deburred the edges, and I'm just going to be going around, and I've put the make onto my Lazy Susan. This is really useful because it basically means you don't tend to have to move your hand or the pen anywhere. You move the Lazy Susan instead, so you can get a pretty good grasp on doing it, and I think it makes the work a lot tidier and a lot neater. So there we go. I'm really pleased with this, and I'll be putting attachments on the back so that it can be hung up. Please check out in the description box below everybody's videos, and this is outside just to try and show you the sparklingness. Thank you for watching. Love you and stay wonderfully weird.
The nerd goblin whispers in my ear, stay weird, stay wild, no need to fear. She molds her dreams with resin and clay. Whimsical wonders brighten the day. Stay wonderfully weird, let your colors unfold. Frogs and dragons, stories untold. Crocodiles dance in a resin sea. Stay weird, stay wild, stay beautifully free. She paints the